This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by Liquid IV. October is here, and that means the weather is getting cooler, football is on every weekend, and Halloween is nearly upon us.
And with so much to like about October, make sure you're at your best with Liquid IV's new Hydration Multiplier Plus Immune Support Mango Passion Fruit. One stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone, and with 5 times the daily value of vitamin C and 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, Hydration Multiplier Plus Immune Support gives you the scientifically formulated immune support you need.
So tear, pour, and live more and support everyday wellness with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code RAW at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code RAW at liquidiv.com. Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
Welcome back to Going in Raw. Count out on today's episode in honor of Bryan Danielson's sad last. I mean, it wasn't a retirement match. It was probably going to be back. Well, probably sooner than later, to be honest.
It was a retirement in the sense that he's no longer a full-time wrestler. What that means differently from what his schedules end up being, I don't know. But
he actually had a lot of matches in his last year, so
he did.
Good on him. If he wrestles 5 times a year, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if it was more. I'd be kind of surprised if it was less, though. In any event, we thought we'd take... So, you know, obviously, his last match was not... It was a sad affair, but it was a sad affair in storyline. Today, we're going to take a look at matches that were just sad affairs, the sad last matches for wrestlers. And, you know, because here's the thing, if Danielson wanted another all-in moment like he had, which was a phenomenal match and ending with the yes and the kids, he could have had that. Instead, he opted to go out, boosting an incredibly important story at this point in AEW's life. And he went out sadly. These matches we're about to talk about,
sad for other reasons, not involving kayfabe.
Right, exactly. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into them. Let's start off, of course, with number 10.
10.
Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin at WrestleMania 35.
Yeah, this match isn't bad, per se. I mean, listen to Kurt Angle talk about why he chose to retire when he did. It's because he felt like he had lost a step. He wasn't performing at the level that he would consider acceptable for Kurt Angle.
Yeah,
which makes sense, and you know, so there's been times where professional wrestlers either haven't made that realization or have made that realization and powered through. He made that realization and said, "I'm not doing this anymore."
Yeah.
So as he tells it, when he made the decision, it was in the lead up to WrestleMania 35. He was in a feud with Baron Corbin. This was after Baron Corbin had been dismissed as his role as constable of Monday Night Raw. We were there when he got dismissed. At the McMahon shakeup in 2018.
The McMahon shakeup. Of course, this is the WrestleMania of the infamous year 2019. So, you know, this is the last one before COVID, last one before they went 2 nights. So this is the last, like, unbearably long WrestleMania.
7-hour-long WrestleMania. So, as Kurt Angle tells it, he realized he needs to retire. He goes to Vince McMahon and says, I think I'm done. I'll have my last match at WrestleMania. Could I have it with John Cena?
He was there at the time. He was there.
Yeah. And Vince says to him, no, you're in a program with Baron Corbin. If you want Cena, you can do it next year.
Which, as we know from Vince McMahon's promises, that's
means basically nothing.
It's kind of probably just a suggestion as a possibility.
Yeah, it means nothing. He'll say it. Forget about it as soon as Kurt Angle walks out the door.
Yeah.
And if Kurt were to give it another year, go to Vince. All right, how are we going to build to the match with Cena? God damn it, pal. What are you talking about? You know, it'd probably be something like that.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, anyways, Kurt Angle says, "Oh, I guess Vince. This is again as
You're
Kurt
in a feud
Angle
with Kurt Hawkins, pal."
as Kurt told it, Vince is like, "Is that all right?" And Kurt Angle's like, "I'm done. Yeah, that's fine."
Yeah.
So we get this match with Baron Corbin, and again, it's not a bad match. It just doesn't seem to be the fitting end to Kurt Angle's illustrious wrestling career. He's one of the best to ever do it.
He absolutely is, yeah.
You know, and it would be fitting for him to have an opponent, and this isn't a slide at Baron Corbin, an opponent on his level,
Yeah.
which John Cena is.
Yeah,
And
no,
it's not a situation where Baron Corbin gets this huge rub from beating Kurt Angle. He had just spent the last 2 years being utterly humiliated.
Well, that's the crazy thing,
again.
too. That's the crazy thing, too, is you can hear a pin drop when the end of days is hit on Kurt Angle, who had attempted a moonsault for the finish and missed. And then Baron Corbin is able to hit him with an end of days. And when he wins, it's like nobody wants that at all. They do give Kurt Angle some promo time after the match. And Kurt Angle's on record of being on the record being very complimentary of Baron Corbin, and Baron himself was on Chris Van Vliet's show saying, I was pretty shocked when they said that I was going to be the one winning, because I really thought it'd be special if I'm, hearing his music while I'm laying on my back. He said that would have been really cool. And yeah, it's I can appreciate if there was going to be, like, if anybody was going to beat Kurt Angle for that Kurt Angle rub, it's not necessarily a rub, but there would be a nice amount of symmetry if it was with John Cena, who of course made his debut against Kurt Angle in a losing effort, the big ruthless aggression thing. And so it would have made all the sense in the world. It would have been a special moment. And, unfortunately, if he was going to have Baron Corbin get this rub, then he should have had Baron Corbin. Although after this, Baron Corbin was the last person to pin Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
But he didn't benefit from any of that stuff,
No.
So, yeah, it's pretty wild.
What did John Cena do at WrestleMania 35? Let's see.
Hold on. Don't tell me. Let me guess. He did. Whoa. Do you have the answer with you?
I do. I have the card in front of me.
Okay. May I ask, let me get one hint. Was it a match?
He is not listed here as having a match on
It wasn't the Undertaker
WrestleMania.
thing. That was the one before then. That was 34.
Yeah. So the correct answer is John Cena did absolutely nothing.
Wait, hold on. He didn't appear in a segment?
He didn't have a match, at least.
Oh my goodness gracious. I know he did something there. Hold on a second.
Maybe. Wasn't that the first Mania that he missed?
WrestleMania 35. Oh, he was there. He was the doctor of thugonomics.
Oh.
In a promo with Elias.
That's right.
Everybody is probably screaming at the screen telling us that, and then they got to see our reaction to us remembering that. Probably best to move on, Larson.
Fair enough. Let's move on.
All right, moving on to number 9.
9.
Mick Foley and Terry Funk versus Roddy Piper and Bob Orton. This was at a Juggalo Championship Wrestling event as part of their Gathering of the Juggalos in 2011, was it?
2011, August 12th, 2011. This show was titled Legends and Icons. So you get a bunch of legends and icons of pro wrestling. And as we've seen from other shows where this has happened, perhaps most infamously the Heroes of Wrestling show in 1999.
Yeah.
Quality of the match is, generally speaking, not very good. This will not be the first time we're going to talk about a match on this particular show.
Right.
Not only is this Mick Foley's last match, although he did make an appearance at the Royal Rumble the following year, it's also Roddy Piper's last match, I believe.
This past 4 years later, yeah.
This particular bout. And it's an interesting match because I believe it was supposed to be Piper versus Funk.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
A singles match. Bob Orton comes to the ring with Piper with the cast on still.
Oh, of course.
And effectively makes it a 2-on-1 handicap match. Mick Foley does commentary for the show.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And, of course, given his longtime friendship with Terry Funk, sees him at the losing end of a 2-on-1 beatdown, comes to the ring and makes it an impromptu, essentially, tornado tag match that lasts all of about 4 minutes before... so Terry Funk tries to roll up Orton. Piper breaks it up and kind of reverses the roll-up into a roll-up for Bob Orton.
Mm-hmm.
So Bob Orton gets the win over Terry Funk, and it's what you'd expect. Just a lot of throwing of hands. Not a lot of bumps.
Yeah. And
not a lot of moves.
What's sad is that, like, the promo that precedes it is like a Terry Funk heel promo on Roddy Piper, probably the best heel promo of all time. And he's like, lambasting him for his acting career, which I don't know, like when you think of like, hey, cool acting jobs in pro wrestling, Piper's in there. So was Funk.
Yeah.
But like it was a bizarre one-sided promo. But he really felt like Funk was just healing up on Orton. Sorry, on Piper.
Yeah.
And then they start, going at it, and Foley comes down. And yeah, dude, it is one of those things where, look, let's be completely honest. This entire list is like proof positive that wrestlers need to unionize, so they can get like a pension, they can get benefits, they can get, because it's just, Foley comes walking and nobody in the crowd is popping for any of these legends or icons. And yeah, the finish is weird and awkward. And the entire thing is just sort of sad. And that's how a lot of these things are going down. It's just these guys. And look, I also understand that some of these people, like I honestly think, I have no idea what his financial situation was towards the last 20 years of his life. I always got the feeling that Funk did it for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Funk was out there because he loved doing it. I think a lot of these people just loved, there's something about that crowd that's addictive. We've heard that a million times over.
The adrenaline rush from walking through that curtain and hearing the roar of the crowd
is like, no, it can't be replicated. Right.
Yeah. And going to that ring and performing, is something else. Yeah.
And I get that. And it's understandable, I suppose. But yeah, when you look at it, another thing that I've realized about this list, sort of watching a lot of these matches, is I firmly don't believe that how a person ends their career has any effect on their legacy, with the maybe exception of Ric Flair. Because I feel like so much of the last like 5 to 10 years of Ric Flair have like started to kind of overshadow just how legendary he was,
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that.
But it takes a lot. It takes like Ric Flair efforts to like actually put any sort of stain on a legacy. It really does.
It does. And it's we've seen it for decades. Probably almost as long as pro wrestling's been a thing, is that wrestlers will wrestle until they simply can't do it anymore. Sometimes, like in the case of Ric Flair, they will do it anyway,
Yeah, right.
And part of it might be financial. Part of it's probably, just as we talked earlier, the adrenaline rush of going out there and performing.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of generally accepted. I mean, that's the joke. The idea of a wrestler's retirement. How often does it really stick,
Right,
and wrestlers will just keep wrestling and wrestling and wrestling until they simply can't.
Yeah, if they can make some money and sell some tickets on a retirement, they're going to do that.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of built in to what one might think of a pro wrestler's career. They'll wrestle until the wheels come off,
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the nature of it, it seems like.
If everybody made stone cold money, I think we'd see a lot less of that. But then again, there is the aspect of, a lot of these dudes, they just really enjoy doing what they're doing. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on. That's sort of a larger conversation here. Let's move on now to number 8. Bruno Sammartino's last match, teaming with Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy and One Man Gang in 1987.
Yes, at a WWF house show in Baltimore, Maryland, August 29th, 1987. So Bruno had retired from WWF in 1981. Shortly after that, he wrestled a handful of matches in All Japan Pro Wrestling and didn't wrestle again until 1985 when his son David started wrestling for WWF, and so he started tagging with him, predominantly on house shows. So much of Bruno's last 2.5 years in WWF, and granted that was the schedule at the time. That's what they did. Wrestle a ton of house shows.
Yeah.
And if they taped the match and show up on TV, guess what? You're on TV.
That's how they did it. Yeah.
That's how they did it. Only a handful of matches seemingly were taped for TV. And so it's interesting that Bruno, the most decorated champion in WWF history, and this was at a time that I don't think he had a falling out with Vince. Prior to his return, he had sued the WWF because Vince Sr. Didn't pay him what he was supposed to during his what was his final run.
Okay.
Prior to his return in '85. And so Vince settled with Bruno, and that's how Bruno got the commentator job.
Okay. All right.
And then when David came to wrestle, or started wrestling in WWF, Bruno started tagging with him. But again, for Bruno being the most storied champion in that company's history to that point, being champ for nearly 8 years, and for his send-off to be a tag match with Hulk Hogan at a house show doesn't really seem to be befitting of the legendary stature of Bruno Sammartino. And here's the thing. At that point, he could still go. I watched a match he had with Savage for the Intercontinental title at Boston.
Yeah.
And it's a really good match. Bruno was keeping up with Macho Man's pace. It was a Macho Man match. And Bruno had no problem keeping up. And the post-match angle, so the match finished with Macho Man hitting Bruno with a chair, so the DQ finish, Bruno puts on the bear hug on Macho Man and ain't letting go. 3 refs come out. Can't get him off. It takes 5 wrestlers coming from the locker room to pull Bruno off of Macho Man. And even after that, Bruno's irate. It's a really effective post-match angle. He could still go.
And it was for the Intercontinental Championship at Madison Square Garden. Like, he was still in the mix during that run. And then I guess, I don't know, like, it's crazy because, like, look, being 52 in 1985 is a lot different than being 52 here in 2024, right? Mm-hmm. And Bruno, when he retired in 87, he was 52 years old. He looked 65, but he moved like he was 45. You know what I mean? Like, he could move. And yeah, it's a house show, so there's no footage of his actual last match. Yeah. And I agree with you, but then, because you texted me that, you're like, it's weird that, like, he didn't get a big thing. When you think about how soon this was, I mean, it was only a couple of years removed, 4 or 5 years removed from Vince, because Vince bought the company, 84, I think, 83 or 84?
Somewhere in the early 80s, yeah.
And this was only less than 5 years removed from that. Very quickly, Vince ran away from his dad in terms of, like, Backlund. As soon as he got that, Backlund was champion for 5 years, I think.
Yeah, he was champ for a while.
He took that title off him, and Backlund was gone. Mm-hmm. Now, if Vince, maybe that had to do with Backlund, because he was a guy, especially back then, like, he didn't want to drop the title to Hogan. Maybe he didn't like where the company was going, and he decided this sucks. But, and I know Vince brought him back later, but seemingly, I wonder if Vince simply just wanted to move on and had a very distinct, as we know, very different vision for where the company was going to go. And maybe that's why Bruno didn't get it. It's like, yeah, he was champion for 11 combined years or whatever it was. Because I think it was like 7.5 and 3 or 8 and 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
But, when you're building something, maybe you don't want to be reflective. That's the only thing I can think.
That could be. I mean, you listen to the reception that Bruno was getting from the crowds. They were still popping huge for him.
Dude could pop a crowd. Yeah, for sure.
He could. If nothing else, and maybe this is something Bruno wasn't into, use his star power, his legacy, to help get over the wrestlers that you want to build the future of the company around.
Yeah.
And again, maybe it's not something Bruno's into. And if that's the case, understandable. But he was working with Savage and Honky Tonk Man and Hercules. And
you got to wonder, though, dude, like when you mentioned that. And yeah, the idea of like Bruno versus Piper or something, because they ain't going to do Bruno versus Hulk. Because if they go to New York and do that, I don't know that Hulk's going to get cheered. You know what I mean?
I know.
Even if they try to heal up Sammartino, which I don't know if Sam. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think that things were a lot different back then. And honestly, you kind of look at how New Japan does it. I mean, how many of their like huge stars from 20 years ago, they still show up to this day in very, very minor roles. They're in the battle royals or in large tag matches or whatever, but it's not like, at a certain point, Vince, the wrestling landscape, because of how popular it was in the 80s, those stars would still be booked to the moon. We have that ongoing joke about the older you get, the more powerful you are. I don't know, man. It seems like maybe Vince wanted to run away from that. And it's just like, hey, Bruno, we're going to transition you into this, full-time commentary role, and you're going to help your son, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. I don't know
either. But one of Bruno's first feuds after coming back was against Cowboy Bob Orton, Roddy Piper. They had a series of matches. Steel cage match, too.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he was using them. Maybe.
But again, like where's, WrestleMania 3? Have a send-off for Bruno. Let him have one last match that he can get his flowers, It just never happened. It's strange.
Yeah, it is. It is. Anyways, before we continue on, let's go ahead and pay some bills, Larson.
Let's do it. Let's take a quick break here. Get word from the sponsor of today's show, Liquid IV. Steve.
Yes.
What month is it?
October.
It is October, and there's a lot to like about October. I'll tell you why. Cooler weather. Weather outside right now, fantastic.
That's awesome.
Weekend football. We like the football, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Halloween. Halloween's great.
Trick or treat.
Well done. And maybe most importantly for us, it's the start. Professional basketball season. Yes.
That's right, man. Not to mention, our basketball season is still in full swing. That's right, year-long basketball. And to play our best, we need to be at our best. And with Liquid IV's new Hydration Multiplier Plus Immune Support Mango Passion Fruit, we get 5 times the daily value of vitamin C and 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. So our body gets the immune support it needs.
All right. Anyways, powered by Live Hydroscience, 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone and is an essential part of our semi-weekly basketball games. I don't know how we could play for 2 hours, 2 times a week, with me hitting 1 3-pointer after another, in your face. Sometimes step back, half-court shots. Again, in your face. Oh, like we could do that without Liquid IV. What's that look mean?
That does not happen.
Absolutely does. Anyways. Now, with Hydration Multiplier Plus Immune Support, we can also get scientifically formulated support for healthy immune systems and all-in-one hydration.
So tear, pour, and live more and turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration and support everyday wellness with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code RAW at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code RAW at liquidiv.com. Do you like my Dracula?
Yeah, I can tell you're ready for Halloween.
I'm ready for the Halloween. Anyways, I'm also ready to move on with this list, Larson. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Number 7.
This
is the Bret Hart, John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio and his ring announcer guy, Ricardo Rodriguez. Bret Hart's last match, huh?
It is his last match. It was the go-home Monday Night Raw for Night of Champions 2011. Cena was taking on Alberto for the WWE Championship at that particular show. Match that John Cena would win and be champion again for probably the 13th or 14th time.
Sounds right.
At that juncture. So there's a tag match on the go-home Raw, as stated here. John Cena, as one would expect, given that Bret, I don't know, he was still probably wasn't cleared to do much.
Yeah, he had, when was this again? Well,
2011.
When in 2011, do we know?
I think in September 2011.
Okay, so he was still around after that WrestleMania. Wait, wasn't the WrestleMania 2010? I don't know. In any event, boy, he stuck around for a while, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He had a couple matches after the Mania one. Because did he win the U.S. title off The Miz?
Yeah, he won the U.S. title. I was about to say that.
Yeah, he did. So Cena does most of the work for his team. At one point, Del Rio leaves Ricardo to eat the pin. Cena hits him with an AA, tags in Bret. Bret puts on a sharpshooter. Ricardo taps. Bret wrestles this match in cargo shorts and a Hitman T-shirt.
I think his entire last run, like I don't think he ever donned the tights in that last run in WWE. He was always
because the Mania match against Vince, he had the hockey jersey on, right?
And jorts.
Yeah,
I think in jorts.
Yeah,
great looking hockey jersey. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he looks very comfortable here. This is like something I would wear, to be honest with you.
It's like he just showed up at the arena with what he was wearing and went out and wrestled.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, let's see here. So what is this? 2010 is when he did the Vince. Yeah, my goodness, he had he had 11 matches.
Wow, he had a bunch of house show matches.
So, and he had a lot of house show. What were they thinking back then? Why would they use him on the house show circuit?
This is in European house shows.
It's a European house show.
He was always a huge draw.
He was a huge draw in Europe. Added value. Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, man, he wrestled quite a bit.
Yeah, he did. Well, when we say wrestle,
He was in a lot of matches. He participated in a lot of matches.
Basically, the way I think the template for these are similar to this last match of his, and it's basically whoever he's tagging with does all the work, and then they tag him in to put on the sharpshooter, and of course, no man can escape the Scorpion Deathlock, also known as the sharpshooter.
Same move,
and then they would immediately tap out, which is what Ricardo did here in all of 3 minutes and 20 seconds here in Ontario, Canada. Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, exceptionally short match. And the last one Bret Hart had in his wrestling career.
And again, I mean, dude, given what he was not able to do at this point, look, the last run of Bret Hart in WWE, you can't say was not a celebratory thing. It was a Bret Hart celebratory retirement tour.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the entirety of the thing was just not great.
No,
it was not.
No,
great.
I mean, it's one of those things where, due to accrued injuries, Bret Hart was there in the ring. Hitman was back, but it wasn't the wrestler that we grew up watching.
I think he wasn't even cleared to do
much of anything.
Yeah.
So, it was a situation where, yeah, he got an opportunity to come back to the WWE, reconcile with Shawn Michaels, and finish out one last run with the company that became a huge star in. But like, a lot of these situations where you have wrestlers who, whether it's age or injuries or a combination thereof, by the time they wind down their careers, aren't the same performers they were in their prime. And in this case, it's a bummer that all he could do was go in to his match, get the hot tag, put on a sharpshooter, and call it a day. But I'm curious how rewarding it was for him ultimately to get that opportunity in the first place.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, you got to think, given that he did it for as long as he did, it was probably just a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can separate yourself in terms of like, hey, why am I doing this? To collect, no doubt, a big paycheck, and to, probably tie up the legacy on a positive note in WWE.
Also, a lot of those house show matches, he was teaming with
the Hart Dynasty,
Harry Smith,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tyson Kidd.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that had something to do with it as well, I would imagine.
Yeah. So if you can take yourself away, and I'm sure he's on record probably saying 5 different directions, 5 different things about this last run. But if you can, I would think that if you could take yourself out of, hey, I'm one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time to do it, and just accept that guy is not wrestling now. This is just to have fun, help out, the family, and collect a massive paycheck, and, leave on a positive note. Then if he's able to have that perspective, which I assume he did, then, hey, more power to him. Everybody gets a pop. It's not a sad situation, but to understand Bret Hart of old and to see how this is sort of, how he goes out.
Yeah, no, especially for Bret, who took such pride in his work.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, if it was a rewarding experience for him,
at the end of the day, oh, Hunter, I know you did it, Hunter. I didn't know
anything.
I didn't know.
All right. Speaking of Hunter.
Speaking of Triple H, let's move on now to number 6. DX versus the Brothers of Destruction. So, dude, we were just talking about like older wrestlers who will show up on at like, Juggalo Championship Wrestling shows and Heroes of Wrestling and whatnot. And it's like, hey, you know what? I get to see this 65-year-old dude shuffle down the ramp, hit his greatest hits, assuming that they are within physical reason for them to do that.
Yes.
And then, everybody just call it a day. They get a paycheck and everybody's happy. That's what this is, but it's like on a $50 million stage, basically.
Well, it's that. Plus, rather than it being 5, maybe 10 minutes long, this match is nearly a half an hour.
Oh my God.
So this is at WWE Crown Jewel 2018, and full transparency, I have yet to bring myself to watch this entire bout.
Oh, you got to watch it, man.
I can't do it.
You got to watch it. I did. You should.
I should. Haven't been able to. So early on, Triple H tears his pectoral muscle.
That's what, hey, we need to do that for maybe our bonus episodes.
All right. You forced me to watch this. Shawn Michaels and Kane's last match.
Oh, it is Kane's last match. Okay.
Yeah, I think Kane was in one of the Rumbles after this, but otherwise, this is his last match. Disgraced Mayor Glenn Jacobs, his last match.
Yeah.
So since I haven't been able to, I've never watched this match in its entirety. I obviously can't speak to it. I know it has a reputation for being utterly horrendous.
You know what's wild though? Wasn't the worst rated Meltzer match on this card. This actually got 1 3/4 stars. And Brock versus Braun was also on this. I got 1 star.
Yeah.
I don't know the nature of that. I forget if it's, whatever.
That match was all 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
Okay, was that like one of those goofy Lesnar matches where weird shit happens?
Probably,
huh? In any event, this match might have been saved hadn't been for Triple H tearing Peck from bone early in this match. He gets there's like a corner spot where Kane throws him into the corner, and then Triple H tries to kind of a Ric Flair deal where he goes over the top, and on the way down he tears his pec. And then right afterwards, you see HBK come out. HBK had been retired since 2008 or whatever it was.
2000 and
was it 10?
2010, yeah,
okay.
WrestleMania 26.
So it was 8 years. And I would not be surprised if Hunter was supposed to do a lot more in this match and HBK a lot less in this match. And so you see them commiserating on the outside, and you just sort of see Shawn Michaels, go pale. He's like, fuck.
Yeah.
This is
I did see him hit a moonsault. Shawn Michaels hit a moonsault.
Yeah, he hit a moonsault. It's just, so here's the funny thing is, some of it, I think, well, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say there is something kind of shocking about Shawn Michaels having just the most bald head, just shaved clean, right?
Yeah.
And so it just emphasized, the Undertaker looked like he was in his 60s back in the mid 90s, you know? Mm-hmm. So as he aged up, he sort of, went from looking like he was 62, and then 20 years later, he looked like he was 66, you know? Mm-hmm. Shawn Michaels, right before he retired, and Shawn Michaels during this match, that span of 8 years, it looked like he aged a lot.
Yeah.
And there was something a little bit, it throws you off a little bit watching it. Like Triple H did the thing where bizarrely he shaved his head, even though the dude had a phenomenal head of hair even until he shaved it. But he had that cool beard. It looks like a grizzly biker guy. And to see Shawn Michaels look like this, it was like, okay, that's kind of weird. It's just one of those weird things, right? Mm-hmm. Kane looks the same. He just had a boiler on him. Mm-hmm. And so to see that, and yeah, it's a moonsault, but the ring rust is all over. This match just screams massive paycheck.
Yeah.
And, he said eventually that he regretted doing the match. He's got no reason to regret it, though. You know why? Because that fucking check probably paid for some really cool shit. So I would not be regretting anything if I was him. Because you never know. This match could have been awesome. Triple H ripped his pec during it, and then shit happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. In any event, it ended up being a dog shit match. But there's also that sort of element of it's 4 dudes. They all love each other. Mm-hmm. They all have so much history. Mm-hmm. They're probably, besides the torn pec, they're probably having a good time out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely it's an old timer match. This is a WrestleCon special main event match,
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Anyways, let's move on to number 5. Oh boy, talk about an old men match. Ken Patera versus Bob Backlund. Now, this was Ken Patera's final match and Bob Backlund's final singles match. He only had 2 tag matches after this.
This again at the Juggalo Championship Wrestling Legends and Icons show in 2011. I'll say this. I was surprised how well Backlund still moved at this point.
Oh, absolutely. No, he was not really the problem in this match.
No. No.
Ken Patera was.
That leaves Ken Patera as, yeah.
He looks like, you know who Ken Patera looked like? This is no disrespect, man. Ken Patera's got a great career. Because like the footage of this match is very, pixely and it's low res and everything because it's from 2011.
Yeah.
He's dressed basically like you see the comic book guy in The Simpsons, Jeff Albertson.
Yeah.
Like he's just wearing like old guy.
But he's got a
Sunday
T-shirt
attire.
on, but then he's got a singlet on over his T-shirt.
Oh shit! I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. This match is only 6 minutes and 12 seconds long.
Yeah.
And with the exception of Backlund rolling him up for the finish, Patera does not leave his feet. Neither does Backlund.
Yeah.
They do like there's like a lockup. There is I think a bear hug. I think there's like a chicken wing.
There's attempted chicken wing.
Oh, an attempted chicken wing. Yes. That's like it in 6 minutes. I will be honest with you. Having watched all 6 minutes of this, I am firmly convinced that you and I would be fine having a match. It might get a cage match rating of
Like 0.61?
0.32.
Oh, 0.32, even lower.
0.32.
So on commentary, they mentioned that Backlund and Patera back in I guess it was the 80s, 1980, in fact, had a couple matches or series of matches culminating in a Texas death match.
Was that
that
amazing?
went down on May 19th, 1980 at Madison Square Garden. Or it aired on the MSG network. I don't know if it's at Madison Square Garden. It doesn't say here on Cage Match. Which that match got a 7.38 on Cage Match. So
Fire.
like Ken Patera, noted strongman, like he was one of the strongest wrestlers of his day. I think he's an Olympic bodybuilder. And time catches up to us all.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 1,000%.
And if he was carrying around tons of weight in his prime, that's tough on the joints.
That's true. That is true.
So you can't expect a technical masterclass here.
Oh wow. I thought those were suspenders. You're right. That's a singlet.
No, that's a singlet.
That's awesome. That's what I would wear if I was a wrestler too.
Suspenders or singlet?
A t-shirt with suspenders over it.
Oh, there
I
you
mean,
go.
I mean a singlet over it. Yeah.
But then suspenders over the singlet.
So much suspension there. So much protection from gravity. Anyways, yeah, this match was dog shit. It was terrible. But hopefully they had a good time. Let's move on to number 4.
Here, let me ask you a question real quick.
Oh, sure.
Do you think Ken Patera knew who Insane Clown Posse was when he accepted this booking?
I don't see how there's any way he did.
Okay.
I don't think that there's any way when they reached out to him. No, he might have done some very basic research. I think Wikipedia was around in 2011. So that's possible. Maybe his kids told him, "Oh, what? Are you a juggalo? This is for the juggalos and juggalettes."
Yeah.
Fuck this shit. Hey, they paid him money.
They did.
That's all he has to know. Anyways, let's move on here to number 4.
4.
Andre the Giant, Giant Baba, and Rusher Kimura versus Haruka Aigen, Masanobu Fuchi, and Motoshi Okuma. The two names you probably recognize this, Andre the Giant and Giant Baba. It was Andre the Giant's final match a mere few months before he passed away.
Yeah.
He passed away in January 93. This was in December 92, I think.
December 92 at the All Japan Real World Tag League.
Real.
At the Budokan in Tokyo, Japan. This one's online if you want to watch it. It's tough to watch seeing Andre in that kind of physical condition.
He was not in this match very often.
No, he wasn't. It was obviously difficult for him to move around. He had a bad back at this point for a number of years. He had sleeves on both his knees during this match. He gets in the ring during introductions, stands in his corner till the finish. Does a couple chops, needs the help of his teammates to do kind of the spot in the corner with thrusts, and then hits a clothesline and sits on opponent, having to hold on to the ropes to get the pin. And it's just really tough to watch because he was in an immense amount of pain during this match.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it is tough. You can feel the dude is in agony. Like I said, he's not in the match very much. Um, I doubt. You got to think. I don't think this was for a paycheck. I think this is probably I don't know why he would do this. You know, maybe because hey, maybe Giant Baba needed him or something. I don't know what the deal would have been.
Yeah, I don't know, because not just the match. I mean, it's traveling.
Yeah.
That takes its toll too.
Oh,
You
big
know,
time. Yeah.
especially if you're already in bad physical shape, sitting on an airplane for 15 hours,
Yeah.
and then dealing with jet lag and having to have a match.
Yeah. Like he moved bad in '88 for
Yeah.
WrestleMania 3.
Yeah.
Wait, 85, 86, 87. Sorry, 87.
Yeah, 87.
And yeah, this is tough to watch because the dude could barely stand. Yeah.
Yeah, it was difficult to watch. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was. It really was.
Man,
They did, you know, I will say this, they booked it in a way so when Andre came in, of course, he's got such goodwill with wrestling fans.
Oh,
around the world.
they popped big for him. Yeah.
And they took some of Andre's physical limitations and did some clever spots with it. You know, when Baba and Kimura get in the ring to help Andre do the, you know, where he's backing his butt into his opponents who are all in this corner.
Mm-hmm.
Like that got a good pop from the crowd.
Yeah. Right.
Like they
yeah.
tried to find ways to work around what Andre could and couldn't do
Yeah, they did
in
some
ways
fun
that would
stuff,
entertain the crowd.
for sure. Yeah.
You know, but it's tough to watch. It's really tough to watch.
Yeah. No, I agree. Let's move on now to number 3.
3.
Arn Anderson and Ric Flair versus David Flair and Crowbar.
That's what the match was billed as. But did it happen that way, Steve?
So, no. The week before, so help me put this together. The week before this.
So Arn, hold on. Let's go back to 1997, where Arn retired initially.
Yeah, he couldn't, neck issues. His
Neck
doctor
and back
said
issues. His spine was
never
all
going to
messed
be
up.
cleared again.
Yeah. Fast forward to 2000, when WCW was trying to get David Flair over.
Right, and Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff were in charge there. They were doing the Millionaires versus the New Blood. David Flair was a New Blood. And on the preceding Thunder, it was like May 10th, I think it aired. So you guys can watch this on Peacock if you want to. Arn Anderson shows up because I listened to a thing with him and Conrad. Arn Anderson shows up. Russo says, "Hey, bro, can you do a match?" And he's like, "What the fuck? I can't. I'm not cleared. I can't do that." And he's like, "Nah, it'll just be a real quick thing. It's you and David. We're trying to make David a thing. So can you do something really, really quick? And, it's not a big deal." And he's like, "All right." So he had somebody go out and get tennis shoes from him or whatever. And the match is absolutely nothing. Like, it's him versus David Flair. Arn still looks as good as he ever did, which, it's not like he was ever the most cut guy in the world. He always had dad bod, but it was a really, really good dad bod. And he still looked the exact same. Clear dude kept himself in shape.
Yeah.
And so he comes out, he's wearing, I think, jeans and no shirt. And they do this match, and it's largely goof stuff. It's only a couple minutes long, a couple of hip tosses, I think. And then they did some wonky shit where the ref, they DQ'd it. The ref goes out. Crowbar throws a ref out, I think. And then David Flair hits Arn in the head with like a vase, and like Daphne gives him a low blow. And then and Arn does take a bump, and it's like, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But he did it. He was fine. David Flair puts him in figure 4, and that's it. I have no idea what happened and why did this happen?
So the following week after that match, David Flair beat him on the May 9th, 2000 edition of Thunder, I believe.
Yeah. It aired the 10th, yeah.
So
or on Peacock, I think it says the 10th.
All right. So it was supposed to be Flair and Arn against David Flair and Crowbar. However, before the match, David Flair and Crowbar attack Arn backstage. So it's a 2-on-1 match. Arn never comes to the ring to join Ric Flair for the match. So his last match, he never participated in.
Oh. Okay. All right. Wait a second. Wasn't there a Sting match that you listed on here?
Oh, that was the TNA one. That wasn't it was Flair's last TNA match.
No. Arn Anderson.
No.
Hold on a second. Dude, am I tripping right now?
A Sting match? No.
Hold on. Oh, you're right. Okay, never mind. No, because Arn, at some point, Ric Flair, and David Flair had a match against Sting, but I think that was just supposed to be David Flair versus. But then Rick was dressed. I don't know. I got lost apparently. Anyways.
Well, that's WCW 2000 for you, man. It's easy to get lost.
It's just an absolute thing of confusion there. So, I mean, I talked about, I guess, his last technical match, which he actually participated in. And then there was his last Phantom match where he just didn't show. So,
well, I mean, he had an excuse for not showing. He was attacked backstage, laid out.
Right, exactly. Personally, I think that his last match should be considered Ric Flair and Arn Anderson versus The Undertaker. Because there was that bit where Arn Anderson came in during Flair versus Taker.
No, Steve. His last match should be Arn Anderson versus Malachi
Black.
Where he blocked the Black Mass with his forearm. That's his last match.
Yeah, what was I thinking?
Come on now.
Oh, man. All right. Anyways, let's get out of this WCW land of confusion here and enter into number 2.
Another land of confusion, TNA.
It's the spiritual successor to the land of confusion, right?
You got that right. So it's Macho Man teamed up with Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles against the Kings of Wrestling, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Double J. Ain't he great?
Question.
Jeff Jarrett. Yes.
Why is Scott Hall and Kevin Nash coming out in Elvis costumes?
I don't have an answer for you, Steve. TNA, that's the answer. They're in
okay.
TNA. That's what it is. So this was at Turning Point 2004.
Was it in like Nashville? Where was Graceland?
It was in Orlando, Florida. Graceland's in Memphis.
Memphis, that's what I meant. Memphis. This wasn't in Memphis?
Nope, it's Orlando, Florida, Universal Studios. So this was Macho Man's first match in 4 years after he wrestled on the May 2nd, 2000 edition of Thunder. That was his last match in WCW.
I love this little footnote here on Wikipedia about it. Said his second and final WCW appearance. Wait, no, that is what? His final WCW appearance would be on the May 3rd, 2000 episode of Thunder, when Savage returned to join the Millionaires Club, a group consisting of Hogan, Flair, and others, aiding them at the end of a 41-man battle royal. Despite Savage ending the show, claiming he was going to help the veteran group take out the young New Blood group, he did not appear again in WCW until they folded next year. Oh, yeah. I'm going to go and fill out some paperwork. I'm going to help you in your fight against the New Blood. Oh, yeah. In a very covert manner.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be around.
And he wasn't.
I must go to my planet now. I'm going to go strategize against the New Blood.
He came back, and instead of the New Blood, he was working against the Kings of Wrestling.
Yeah,
4 years later.
They picked that storyline up.
It was early November 2004 where he made his return to TNA, confronting Double J, Ain't He Great, at the Victory Road pay-per-view. And then, December 5th, Turning Point. They had that tag match. So the story going into this tag match apparently was that Kings of Wrestling kidnapped Macho Man. So he wouldn't have to participate in the first, 18 minutes of this particular bout.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
So he comes down the tunnel towards the end, gets in the ring.
Yeah, no
doles
music,
out a bunch of punches.
He just strolls out there.
Yeah, he does. A bunch of punches to Hall and Nash, who were in Elvis gear for some reason.
Yeah, so you're not going to explain that one?
I don't know the reasoning behind it. You have to take it up with Kevin Nash. Ask him.
Scott Hall legitimately looked like an Elvis impersonator.
Yeah, he did.
He looked really legit.
He did.
He had like the drip, the blood drip thing going down on like mixed with the Elvis. Did we need to find out? Did TNA ever manufacture action figures of the Outsiders as Elvis impersonators?
Oh, that's a
that would
question.
be outstanding.
So ask Kevin Nash on his podcast why they dressed as Elvis and if there was ever action figures released of that gear. Anyways, Macho Man comes to the ring, doles out some punches, puts a sleeper on Double J, while Hardy and Styles put sleepers on Hall and Nash. Eventually, everybody escapes the sleepers. Jeff Jarrett's looking for a sunset flip on Macho Man. He blocks it, punches Jarrett once in the face, and pins him. And I'll say this. Obviously, Macho Man, obviously, I would imagine, couldn't do much physically at this point.
Yeah.
He was still moving pretty well.
Yeah, he could still move. Okay,
He could still move. I doubt. I mean, I don't think he could do the top rope elbow. Evidently.
Oh God, no! Dude, I think he probably.
Oh, he messed himself up shooting in the Spider-Man movie. That's what it was.
Oh, did he?
I believe so. Yeah.
He didn't fuck himself up coming off the cage in WCW that one time?
No, I think it was. I think I saw it was. I read somewhere that it was during the Spider-Man movie that he messed himself up.
Oh wow! What are you doing, Sam Raimi? What the heck?
Maybe it was the cage thing. Here, let me double check on that.
Like he basically pulled an edge off that cage. He
Yeah,
sort of came down on his feet. He's like, "Oh, why would you do that?" Yeah, that was unnecessary.
2002. They did the Spider-Man movie. So.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. So Lanny Poffo has a thing about him getting hurt shooting Spider-Man.
Oh no. Okay, that's a bummer. Oh yeah, Bonesaw McGraw.
Yeah.
Jeez, what a bummer. Anyways, you want to move on now to number 1? It is
another match I've been able to bring myself
here's
to watch.
The thing about this one though. It's Ric Flair's last match on the appropriately titled pay-per-view event, Ric Flair's last match. I don't really think it's going to end up being his last match, Larson. But for now, for these purposes,
I mean, he might have had a heart attack during this match. So
yeah,
I think his last match.
He basically has said that he legally died during this match, dude.
Oh, so apparently, getting back to the Macho Man thing, apparently Macho Man wanted to do all his own stunts for the Spider-Man movie, and so there was one thing where he was getting flipped onto his head, so he just did that a lot, and it messed him up.
That's sad.
Yeah, he was 50 years old when he did that movie.
Yeah, don't do that. Let the experts do it.
Let the professionals, stunt professionals, do that.
Oh yeah. Then I came back at Turning Point to fight Elvis. So yeah, let's get back to this Ric Flair match. The dude apparently, lost time during it. Looked terrible. You see a certain legend sitting ringside. Wasn't Brett at this match or no?
Oh, I've never seen it. Another one I've never been able to.
Really? You never watched this match?
No.
Oh, it is a sight to behold.
It's super long too, isn't it? Yeah, it's almost a half hour.
Yeah, no, it's stupid long.
They booked the whole show around Ric Flair's last match.
Yeah.
They brought back Jim Crockett Promotions, in name at least, to promote this last match.
Mildly cool, yeah.
It is. It's clever. I appreciate
When we say
that.
they, we mean, of course, Conrad Thompson.
Yeah, Conrad. Yeah. Yeah. And this was after.
His reasoning was, and this actually makes sense, Flair's going to do a last match.
Yeah.
And there were multiple companies that were probably going to offer him a lot of money. And Conrad was like, look, I don't trust any of those other companies not to take advantage of Ric Flair.
It's his father-in-law, too.
Well, it's his father-in-law.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of him instead. I'm joking. Yeah, I noticed you were drinking water. I decided to throw a joke.
You were trying to get me to do a spit take there,
I
weren't
did
you?
kind of want to see that, yes. But he wanted to do it under as controlled an environment as possible instead of a singles match. That's why he gets Andrade in there. Again, his father-in-law. And then you get, and they did this amazing little short film series beforehand.
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. It was really entertaining shit. And but yeah, the actual match, you're literally just sitting there thinking, God, we're gonna have a Randy the Ram moment here. This is absolutely terrifying.
And this was after Flair's health scare where he's in the hospital forever.
Yeah.
So
horrifying. You really need to watch these matches.
No, I don't. I don't feel like I do.
How long was this match? This is a half hour
26 minutes, 40 seconds.
Ah, damn, pal. Yeah. Lots of good Andrade and Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett.
I believe that.
But there's also Ric Flair, and I'm pretty sure the guy actually dies during this match. And then
at the least he fell asleep.
Yeah, right. Which at that age, you do one, the other ain't too far away. Anyways, yeah, we're all getting there, man. Time is the fire in which we burn.
Yeah.
Get the Friendo Club set up today and get access to over 700 Going In Raw bonus episodes, our monthly Big Blue predictions challenges, and the ability to ask questions at Going In Raw. We also offer the Steven Larson comic book and exclusive Friendo Club t-shirt. Just hit join here at youtube.com/Steven Larson or go to patreon.com/Steven Larson to sign up.